Blythswood are involved with street children in lots of cities. One of the difficulties coming here tonight is that we don't know the children. They're afraid of us because they've been beaten up by police, they've been chased from different situations. They don't want to trust us, they're afraid, and it's difficult to get close to them to be able to help them, but we're going to try to do that.
What do you want to be?
I want to be a worker. A mechanic.
What happens when it gets cold in winter?
I don't know.
We'll come back and help these children, and I hope to more of them that are on the street.
Blythswood began in Glasgow in 1966 when I was a student there. A number of us were led to understand that there was a need and that we ought to be doing something, and we got together, got an office in Blythswood Square in Glasgow, and that's where we get our name from. As time went on, we helped people in model lodging houses, we helped students and others, and students returned to their homes, of course, in Nigeria, and they made requests for help. So the work spread in a gradual way. In later years, the 80s, we had opportunity to put some kind of help into communist countries. It was difficult, but we were able to do that. And then, when the revolution came, of course, doors were thrown wide open, and Blythswood developed rapidly for a number of years. We put container loads of aid into Armenia, into Russia, into Bulgaria, Romania, Albania, former Yugoslavia, and last year we've put in about 50 loads of aid and many smaller vehicles, and we find that the aid is being delivered where it's needed, and we do some research before giving help. We don't just drop black bags off in front of people and say, pick them up. We have records of people and visit families and see the real need.
Let's go. This is part of our day-to-day work in taking out food and clothing to families that are really in need, especially in a village like this that is quite a distance from the main road, and the road here isn't very easy to get to. We had to walk down the hill to get to the family. This family are a family of 9 children, and the conditions that they are living in are very poor. Right now we're just assessing how we can come back and give more help to the family. We've brought today food and clothing, which is an immediate need, but we're wondering how to help them a little bit better in the future.
I was born here and have always lived here. My husband became ill when he was working in the mine, and so now we have no money coming in, absolutely nothing. It is very hard having no money for clothes or food, and there is no clean water to drink or wash with. The winters are very difficult. Our children do not have enough clothes to keep them warm. We have 9 children, and I want them to have more than we have. I don't want them to be hungry or ill, but we have nothing to give them. I would like to say that I feel it's a privilege to be helped, and thank you to Blythswood for helping us.
I've worked here for 3.5 years, going through the bags of clothes that people donate. People bring in the donations to the depot and we sort them. I have a team of ladies here who are very good volunteers who help me. We make up bags for Europe, we make up bags for the shops, we make up bags of recycling. We also have shoes that we send to Europe, and that's a very needful thing because a lot of them have bare feet and the winter is very, very cold, so we send shoes. We are making a difference. Things have improved in Eastern Europe, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. We know that. That's why we keep going. If I thought that it weren't needed anymore, I wouldn't be working here. And I'm quite convinced that there's still a great deal to do. There are villages that haven't been really discovered yet. Rona's always discovering other places that need help, and so we must keep on going. I sadly haven't met anybody that we have helped from Eastern Europe. I would like very much to meet them, but I know that I'll not be able to go over, very, very unlikely that I would. But someday I may see them, and I would like to, and I would like to say that, well, I'm just so happy to meet them.
One gentleman who works very closely with us, Papa Eugene, in the city of Cluj, has been a real asset to our work, mainly because he was caring for poor people and orphans way before Blythswood was ever heard of to him or to the country.
If we get a special project, we let people know and give them the opportunity to donate. And if the project is reasonable, then we can present it as something that is likely to not only short-term but long-term benefit, we get good support and continuing interest in it. We had an appeal from Papa in Cluj for a day centre for orphans and some residential care for orphans.
A long time before the revolution, I started with my wife to visit orphanages, and I saw that since they were very, very small, that the orphans had a tremendous need of warmth, love and care. And with a group from the church, we went into the orphanages and then saw the needs for someone to love them and care for them, and in my heart started a love for them and a desire to do something for them. Why should we look after them? It's a good question, and I can tell you that our society cannot care for these orphans, because when they finish in the orphanage at 17 or 18 years old, they are homeless, they don't have homes, parents, and they don't have a job, and they're going on the street without anybody caring or guiding them. Here we're trying to give them a chance to have a real future, a training for a job, an apprenticeship with the support of a house and family. I believe that in all the children that from a human point of view are hopeless, without a home and without any reason to live, I believe that in each of them are tremendous resources and energy, but because they are not trained, they're despised by society, they're rejected. I believe in their potential, and we must invest in training them so that in the future they can be normal people with the possibilities of families, homes, children, and a chance at life.
There's a very big problem in Romania with the amount of street children. That you find street children in every city that you'll go to. Mainly they've run away from an orphanage, which probably they just couldn't cope with the conditions inside the orphanage. Many of them are from parents that have just abandoned them, left them on the street to defend for themselves. It's a huge number of street children in every city you'll find.
The vast majority of people involved in Blythswood are volunteers. Even most of the full-time staff who are here started off as volunteers, and we just could not operate without the continued work of volunteers. On average, there are about 50 people at any one time working for Blythswood, and 90% of those will be volunteers. The work they do comes in many aspects. It could be through the support groups, it could be working in the charity shops, or it could be working here in our depot or in any of our offices around the country. Some people literally just go out on the street and hand out leaflets to tell people of the work of Blythswood. There's something really for everyone.
People come in and work for us because they want to work and they feel that the work is so important. Now it's people like that in Dingwall, Alness, Glasgow that keep Blythswood going. They're Blythswood, and of course the people who donate goods and donate money and donate equipment, they keep it going too, because that generates work on all fronts. And I feel, you know, when people come and say, you know, how does it work? How do you keep it going? It's the people that make it work. In Alness, we have a transport depot where we maintain our 10 trailers and 4 trucks and several smaller vehicles which are used for gathering aid and supplying our charity shops. We have a large RAF hangar there. It's very often quite full of aid, but it can empty very quickly. It's so crucial to us to have the bigger vehicles in tip-top condition. They're old vehicles, but sometimes they go to Romania and they return on a Friday, and they're very often back out within about 48 or so hours. It's so important to have vehicles that we can depend on. The thing about the charity shops is that every week we can more or less predict the amount of income. It also gives people the opportunity to help in their own locality. There are many people who would like to do something for charity, like to do something for those in need, and 4 hours in our shop is as much as they can do, but that's a magnificent contribution to the work. Now, they come into the shops, they wash clothes, they iron clothes, they set it at the mountain rails and so on. And we need volunteers in every location. And even where there's no shop, there are things that people can do for us, like gathering clothes or knitting socks or whatever. Glasgow's a tremendous place to be because the people in Glasgow have a very generous disposition, and they can get enthusiastic and have become very enthusiastic about much of the work that we do.
All of the work really is done by volunteers. We have a regular wee pool of volunteers. Some come in on a Monday, some come in on a Wednesday, depending on their own circumstances. So we're always looking for volunteers to help sort clothing, pack clothing, sort boots and shoes, sort food, and do all the necessary preparation for putting it onto the Arctic lorry to take it away to those people who are going to need it.
When I assess an area, I write a full report on it and it gets sent home. We are not allowed just to bring a truck over without permission from the government in Romania. They always do give us permission, and from there we fill the truck with the things that are needed for that area or that aspect of work. So a truck never really leaves, and just with anything in it, and then we distribute it from there. It's always filled and it's always targeted to an area before it leaves Scotland. And that's improved as time has gone on. It was difficult at the beginning because obviously I had to learn what were the better things to bring. And you only learn that really through experience and through listening, through assessing what's going to be brought. And I think it's helped a lot with the work at home. They also know now, we're in communicating, they also know if there's a space after I tell of what the needs are and how to fill the truck. They often find a space and they try to work out during, well, we've worked in that area before and this was helpful to them. And they don't always need to phone up and say, what's the last space going to be? We were working well enough that they fill it up with something they feel would be important. And that's a great development, I find that very helpful. Hospitals are also an area which is so far from what we know at home. When you go into hospital, you are really left on your own. You're not guaranteed a nurse to assist you. You're left perhaps in the same sheet. You could be in hospital a very long time before they would have sheets to change your bed with. Your meals are not always provided for you. I know in a hospital very close to me that we work in, perhaps the only meal you'll get in a day is a bowl of semolina, simply because the funding isn't there. So I work a lot in hospitals, but one unit that we're particularly helping in is a paediatric unit for cancer. And there the needs are to help provide medication, because there's very little funding given to the medical side in Romania. Really it's important first to help with bringing medicine, providing care for them. So we link with doctors.
Și pentru cei care fac donații este un sacrificiu. Deci
The help that comes from Blythswood covers 3 areas.
Și este o înțelegere și un sprijin umanitar.
The first is material help, things like mattresses, beds, bedding, and other things in the ward. The second is the medicines, of which we never have enough. Third is social help from the ladies that come here and counsel the children and parents, really giving them a second home and another family with warmth and love and care. So without this help, we would struggle even harder to cope. Life would be very much harder for all of us. Really, in Romania, we need to help ourselves first. We have a huge social problem and a political problem with funding. A lot of the families who have sick children need assistance because they're so poor. The treatment for cancer involves a lot of medicine and time spent testing. It's long-term and expensive. It's not just the patients who need help, it's the whole family. It's a huge problem.
I've been inside many orphanages and different institutions, and I can tell a little about them. Orphanages still make me cry, because having worked with children, and that was my own profession, it breaks my heart to see the basicness of what life is in an orphanage, and it doesn't matter at what age group. I can tell that there are some orphanages that have been helped by the West and are looking very well now. They have toys, they have colourful surroundings. But still, there are orphanages that haven't been helped, don't have programmes running in them, and that you will see 2-year-olds still tied to the cot, left unattended all day, except when they'll get fed. And they might just be spoon-fed, or still they're left with bottles just to feed themselves. And there is no comfort. The surroundings are just offering no comfort to them at all. They go on there from the age of 3 to be put into another kind of orphanage for those that are mentally impaired, as they would call them. And they're only that because they haven't been given, they haven't been cared for. Then they are greatly neglected, and we've helped in some of these homes, and it's hard actually to put into words what you see there in the orphanages. The prisons are another area that would greatly disturb you if you were able to to see inside the prison. We came to the prison in Santa Maria and met with the officers here to be told that we can't enter into the prison. We haven't been given permission. We were promised that we would get in, but it just happens very often here that a promise won't stand and we haven't been able to get in. The conditions inside the prison are really drastic in that they are overcrowded. There are too many men to one cell. The cells are usually very dim, just cement floors, and the beds are 3, one on top of the other, and very close together. In some rooms, they've had to put the 2 bunks together to get 3 men into the 2 beds pushed together. And usually they're quite smelly and dismal cells that are inside.
As needs have grown over the years, an opportunity to help people has grown over the years, so that I think in the years to come we'll see more people working for us. We'll see more areas where we can help. We'll see more areas where people will feel disposed to ask for help. We're involved in this country trying to help people in need in our own streets, and we're involved in Bucharest and Albania, Tirana, wherever, trying to meet needs there. And as far as I can see, that will continue. Although many of us who began it are beginning to take a back seat. What's exciting for us is the way that people half our age are coming on board, and coming on board with the purpose of making this kind of work their life's work. And I find that very exciting and humbling too.
We managed to find Daniel and Dora, and we invited them to come with us to eat a hot meal, and we had clothing for them, warm clothing, warm jumpers and shoes and socks, because they didn't have when we found them the night before. This one's very big, but we'll put the jumper on top of it. Stays easier. No. Da, sigur că te duc. Nu-l bagi în pantalon. Să-i spui lui, este ușor să ai grijă de frățiorul tău?
Is it hard to look after your brother?
Nu este ușor dacă... No, that's not hard. But sometimes my brother gets into trouble or does something wrong. I try to tell him that God can see what he's doing.
How can you believe in God in your situation?
I pray to God so that our lives and these conditions will pass more quickly.